Hey everyone, the Utopian here. Just sitting here smoking my blue Color Duke with a little bit of 1Q in it, my Dr. Graybo Color Duke. Anyway, haven't seen you in a while. So, just thought I'd drop in and tell you a little story I remembered about my grandfather. My mother told this one. She was a little girl when this happened. But my grandfather, uh, when I knew him, lived in Walla Walla. For many years, he lived in Walla Walla, Washington. And his name was George William Frazier, or G.W. Frazier. He went by G.W. usually. Some folks would call him Bill, some Will, uh, some G.W., most of them G.W. And there happened to be at that time, oh, this was when my mother was a kid, another G.W. Frazier in Walla Walla. And he also happened to live on Shumack Street where my granddad lived, but they lived on opposite ends of town. My grandfather lived on West Shumack, and the other guy lived on East Shumack. It was G.W. Frazier. Well, anyway, my grandfather loved a good joke. So a friend of his, the way the story goes, had read the obituary about G.W. Frazier on Shumack Street. Hey, oh man, I haven't seen him for a while. My old friend G.W., he's passed away. I should go say something to the family, pay my respects. And that's what he did. He went to 316 West Shumack Street, knocked on the door, and here my grandfather answers the door. And the poor guy, he's there. When my grandfather finally got out of it, what was wrong? He thought it was the greatest joke in the world, of course. But anyway, well, the guy survived it, I guess. He didn't have a heart attack on the doorstep. Anyway, just thought I'd share with you that little story. And I wanted to do something else. I wanted to ask you about something. I've been thinking of starting a second channel, and I just wondered what you thought about it. I don't know what I'd call it yet. Excuse me. Been toying with something like "Don't take my word for it" or whatever. But it'd be on history, and it'd be little blurbs of the history I have come across in my family and in my study of history. I have studied history for quite a while now, American history. And just try to put a little interesting blurb every week, just a few minutes and maybe a little story. And just wondered what you guys thought, if that's something you'd watch or not. Anyway, I'll give you an example. Uh, all know who Jesse James was. His older brother was Frank James. Now, uh, Jesse was killed supposedly in 1882 by Bob Ford. Uh, there's a school of thought that says that was a setup, and no, he lived to be old man. But that's another story. Anyway, Frank James did live up into the 1900s. I think he died about 1915 or so. And my grandfather was born in 1882 in Missouri. and he tells about seeing Frank James on a Missouri street. I'm sorry, I can't remember the town he was in, but in the early 1900s, when my grandfather was a young man, he was in his 20s, uh, he saw Frank James on Missouri Street. Said he was quite the celebrity. He had a crowd around him, and he said Frank was a head taller than anybody else in the crowd. Now that's a little bit of history that you don't get from the history books. He was tall, at least tall for the time. Uh, Something I've never read in the history books, reading about Frank James, but it's a little interesting tidbit. And I'll try to offer little things like that, and little insights, and see what I can come up with, little stories. As I say, some about my family and some just about American history. But I'm just wondering if you guys would like to see that or not. And if you would, just put a comment down below and say so. And also just send this throughout the pipe community, because my fan base right now is probably pretty low because I haven't been on here very often. So just wake everybody up and kind of nudge the next couple of guys down the line and say, hey, look at the Altopian's new video. Just take a look at it when you get a chance, you know. I'd just like to get some feedback. Anyway, I won't hold you up any longer. I'll just say that this is the Altopian, and I'll see you down the road.